Hello everyone. In the previous tutorial, we wrote a C++ code to print a pyramid shape. So this was our code. If the user enters 3, we will print this shape and so forth. So let's see how we can modify this code to print the upside down of this pyramid. So in other words, we're gonna modify this code to be able to print out this shape, which is the upside down of this. Let's do some mathematical analysis. So the easiest way will be to change this for loop. There's another method. We can keep this for loop the same and change these two for loops, the one for the spaces and the one for stars. But this one will be a little bit more difficult, especially for the stars. It'll require a lot of mathematical thinking. So let's do this one here. But let's think about it. Let's just like take this shape here. Let's assume also the same as we did the last time. Let's assume the user will enter number 3 of rows. If we get it right for 3 iterations, so the program will work for millions of iterations. So let's see how we can do it. So if the user enters 3, this will be the shape that will be printed. So let's start with the spaces before the stars. So what we want to achieve for the first row, we don't need any spaces before the stars. So technically, for the first iteration for this top for loop, we don't want this for loop to run at all. And then for the second row, we need 2 spaces. So we want it to iterate twice. And then for the last one, we need 4 spaces, space, space, and then 2 spaces here. How about the stars? For the first iteration of this for loop, we want this for loop to iterate 5 times because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stars, and so forth. So if we modify this for loop, the top one, to be the following, I'm not going to write int, I'm going to write I equal 1. I'm going to change I equal 1. So we're going to make it if I equal the number of rows the user will enter. And now the condition will be, so I equal 3 in this case. So we want to iterate as long as I is greater or equal than 1. So as long as I is greater or equal than 1, we want to keep iterating because we're going to go from this row to this row to this row. And once I is no longer greater or equal than 1, we want to stop. So we stop at this row here, we print the last stars. So now here will be decrement. So let's see why this one will work. And then we can leave these 2 for loops the same. So let's verify. So the best way to verify is to do the iteration. So the first iteration, so we have number of rows equal 3. So J, our condition here for the spaces will be less than or equal than, this is a 3. So for the first iteration, we have I equal the number of rows, I equal 3. So J will be the condition for the spaces less than or equal the number of rows minus I. I is a 3, so will be 3 minus 3 will be 0, multiplied by 2 will be 0. For the first iteration, J equal 1. Is it J less than or equal than 0? No, false. Then this for loop will not execute at all. We will jump to the next for loop. So we're not going to print any spaces here. This is what we want. So now we jump to this for loop for the k. So k equal 1. And now our condition is k less than or equal than 2 times I equal rows. So that's 3 times 2 minus 1. This is 5. Is 1 less than or equal than 5? Yes. So we're going to print star followed by space. So we print star followed by space. And then we increment k to 2. We go back to this for loop. And then we check the condition. Is 2 less than or equal than 5? Correct. Then we print another star followed by space. And then we increment k from 2 to 3. Is it 3 satisfy this condition less than or equal than 5? Yes, we print star followed by space. We increment to 4. Is 4 less than or equal than 5? Yes, we print star followed by space. We increment to 5. Is 5 less than or equal than 5? True. We print another star followed by space. We increment to 6. Is 6 less than or equal than 5? False. Then we're done with this iteration. Now we go back to this for loop. So now we decrement I. I was a 3. Now I become, for the second iteration, become 2 because we decrement. So now let's do the second iteration. more space. So for the second iteration, I equal 2 because we decrement. So now let's see this condition here. So we started j equal 1. So is 1 less than or equal than 2? Correct. We print space. I'm just going to write S. And then we increment j. Is 2 less than or equal than 2? Yes, we print another space. And then we increment. Is it 3 less than or equal than 2? False. Now we're done with this for loop. Now we move to the for loop for the stars. We're still on the same line. So now we do, what's our condition here? So in this iteration here, we want to check if k is less than or equal than 2 times I is 2 for the second iteration, 2 times 2 is 4, minus 1 is a 3. So that's our condition here. So we start k equal 1. Is 1 satisfy this condition? Is 1 less than or equal than a 3? True. So we print star followed by space. And then we increment k to 2. Is 2 less than or equal than a 3? Yes, we print another star with a space. And now we increment k. Is k 3 less than or equal than a 3? Yes, we print another star. So now we printed the 3 stars and we do a new line. Now let's go to the third iteration, which is the last one for the example when the user enters 3. So the third iteration. So in the third iteration, we decrement I by 1. Now I equal 1. So let's check the condition for the spaces. So j, we want to check if it's less or equal than 2 times number of rows is still 3, but I is 1. So 3 minus 1 is 2, times 2 is 4. So this is our condition here. So now for j equal 1, is 1 less than or equal than 4? True, we print space. And then we increment j by 1. So j become 2. Is 2 less than or equal than 4? Yes, we print another space. We increment j to 3. Is it 3 less than or equal than 4? Yes, we print another space. Is 4 less than or equal than 4? True. We print another space. We increment to 5. Is 5 less than or equal than 4? False. Then we are done with this for loop. Now we move to the next one. So we printed 4 spaces. That's as expected for the last row. So now we move to the for loop for the stars. So let's check the condition here. If k, we want to check if k is less than or equal than 2 times I minus 1. So in this iteration, I equal 1. 2 times 1 is 2, minus 1 is 1. So that's our condition here. So we start with k equal 1. Is 1 less than or equal than 1? True, we print star, followed by space. We increment k to 2. Is 2 less than or equal than 1? False. So we are done with this for loop. We continue execution our code. So we start a new line and then we go back. So now we printed the last star. So the fourth iteration, now I becomes 0 because we're decrementing. So is 0 greater or equal than 1? We're checking this condition here. False. Then we stop. We are done. So this is the shape we'll print. We'll print 5 stars followed by 3 stars followed by 1 star. Now let's test our code in Visual Studio. So we're going to modify this for loop, I equal rows entered by the user, as long as I is greater or equal than 1, we're going to decrement I minus minus to decrement it by 1. Save. Let's execute this code. So run. So let's enter 3 first. Perfect. This is the shape we're expecting. So let's try for larger numbers. So for 5, as expected. For 6, as expected. For 10, as expected. So this is all for this tutorial. I hope this was helpful on for loops. Thanks for watching.
Enjoyed this video? Subscribe to the Computer Engineering Notebook for more tutorials on computer architecture, embedded systems, and hardware design. And hit the bell to catch the next one.